Hi, welcome back, and today we are tier listing all of season 12 of Classic Who from 1974 to 1975. So this season saw Tom Baker take the reins as the 4th Doctor of the show, and I think probably it was pretty darn good. We will find out my thoughts, but I'm pretty sure I enjoyed this one. I know that I enjoyed it more on my rewatch than I did my first time round, but we will see. So getting straight into it with the first serial, Robot. This one got a 4 overall. I thought it was pretty good. I feel like I didn't like this one at all when I first watched it, but I really did enjoy it this time. So clearly I either misremembered or it's just better on a rewatch. I don't have much to say on this one other than Sarah Jane was so sweet in this episode when the robot was clearly having a little meltdown and she checked in on him and made sure he was okay. She was just making sure he was feeling okay, and that was really cute and really sweet of her. And even the robot was like, yeah, girl, I don't have feelings, I'm a robot. And she's like, I don't care that you're a robot, I'm checking on you. It shows Sarah Jane being a really nice character. So as for placing it, I think I'm going to put it in upgrade in progress. It was a solid 4 for me. I didn't see anything truly fantastic in the serial, but I did enjoy it, and I think it was quite a nice opener for the 4th Doctor, even though he seemed like a cocky little shit the whole time. That's clearly just who the 4th Doctor was going to be. So it was a nice introduction to the 4th Doctor, and as I say, Sarah Jane came across as a really nice character in the serial as well. And the MVP for the episode is the robot. I know, no main characters, no villains, but technically, the robot isn't a villain in this episode. He was created by the villains and broke free and did his own thing. So I'm counting him as the MVP. Next up is The Ark in Space. This serial, I'm fairly sure a lot of people love for the 4th Doctor's time. Personally, I thought it was pretty good. I gave it a 4 overall. I feel like, again, I didn't enjoy this one at all on a first watch, but on my rewatch I did quite enjoy it. I thought it was interesting. I liked the mystery there as well, and gotta hand it to the costume department. The green bubble wrap monster, fantastic. It was definitely better than I remembered it being, and I think I'm gonna put that one, I might put this one into fantastic. It's definitely not an ooey-oo for me, but I think fantastic is a good place for it. And the MVP for the serial is Vera. The 3rd serial of the season is the Sontaran experiment. Okay, so I do remember watching this on the first time around, and I thought it was boring as hell. I did not want to rewatch it. I was really glad that it was only 2 episodes long. When it came around for a rewatch, I was like, right, we can just get this out of the way nice and quick. But actually, I quite enjoyed this one on a rewatch. I gave it a 5. It is a 4.5, so it's a 5 by rounding up, but I did think it was quite good. I don't really have much to say on it. I just thought it was quite an interesting concept that the Sontarans would send field agents out to experiment on different species so they could find their weaknesses and whatnot. I thought that was quite interesting. So I think I'll put this one again into fantastic. And the MVP for the serial is Roth. The next serial is Genesis of the Daleks. Now I know that this one is a pivotal serial for Doctor Who in general, and I know that a lot of people love this one. I gave it a 4. It did get some 5s, but overall it got a 4. I found it enjoyable, I found it interesting, and obviously the first appearance of Davros is quite an impact to the show. This serial also gave me a new appreciation for Dr. Harry Sullivan, because I did not appreciate him as a companion before, but now on a rewatch of this particular serial, he's proven himself to be a pretty darn good companion. And I think it's an important serial overall, this story, because it has got these big moral questions in it, and Doctor Who, I think, has always worked really well with the big moral question stories until Kill the Moon. So I think that was really good for it. I love the fact that right from the off they showed that the equipment that was being used in this war that was happening between the Colours and the Thals was all from different eras. Like there was some really old stuff, some newer stuff, and the Doctor explained that because the war had gone on for so long, they ran out of all the shiny new stuff and had to regress back to more what would now be obsolete equipment because they had no other choice. So it does show how long the war on Skara has been going on. I think that was really good. One thing that really made me laugh was there was a mention at some point of etheric beam locators, and it gave me Curse of Fatal Death flashbacks in the best ways. I love that. I love that comic relief short, the best one. I say short, it wasn't really that short. I love it though. I don't care. I would have had that for an hour. I love it. Give me Curse of Fatal Death 2.0 where it's a full-length episode. Back to this episode though. One thing that's always bothered me about this serial is that the Khaleds constantly talk about purity of their species and of their race and all of that. They're all very much purity and genetics and all that sort of nonsense. And they have a severe aversion to mutants. And they can't even tell mutants from normal humans because there's people who think that Sarah Jane was a mutant just because of where she happened to be, even though she looked like a normie. So what the fuck is Davros doing there? Seriously, have you looked at that man? Have you looked at him? He's got a fucking third eye. I know it's like a fake eye, but still, like, what, that's, you're telling me that that's your purity? That's, what? Like, I don't quite understand that because Davros does not look like a Khaled. He looks like a mutant if you're gonna say that a human being looks like a mutant. That he looks like, you know, it's, I don't understand their logic. He generally looks more mutant than the mutants in the episode. I don't understand what's going on with that. I don't get it. One thing as well that I noticed is that extermination in this serial looks way more painful than in any other Dalek stories, which kind of makes me think, like as a little headcanon, that maybe it was more painful and it just lasted longer and Davros sort of fixed it up a bit that it would just kill quicker. Not out of kindness or mercy, just get it over with, we want it sorted quicker. So that sort of thing. I just like the idea that they did sort of tweak stuff a bit because the Dalek design was right there from the start and there wasn't really much updates to it since then. So I like the idea that they've been tweaking the mechanism inside the machine that houses the Dalek instead. My final thoughts on this serial is that, again, it's the moral question of, has the Doctor any right to kill all of Daleks before they exist and blow up the Khaled dome and all of that? And Sarah is encouraging him to do it while the Doctor is having this little moral quandary crisis of, am I in the right to do this? Like, do I have the right to do this? But we all know that if Leela had been there, she'd have grabbed those two wires and put them together without a second thought. Goodbye, Daleks. She'd have just done the job herself. We know that much. But yeah, I did like the moral quandary that happened in the episode. So here's my thing. I want to put this into fantastic because I think that's where it belongs for me. However, the category of ooey-oo is there because it screams Doctor Who. And this serial, Genesis of the Daleks, screams Doctor Who. Obviously it's got Daleks and the Doctor and all of that. It's got Daleks, Doctor, Sarah Jane Smith. What more do you need? But it's also got this moral question as the main part of the episode. And it's got the adventure and all this stuff. So I do think it is crucial Doctor Who episode. And so for that reason, even though I think for me it should be in fantastic, I am going to put it into ooey-oo. It may not be my favourite episode of the season, or of Doctor Who, or of the fourth Doctor's run even, but it is a crucial episode and so I'm putting it into ooey-oo. There are two MVPs for this serial. The first one is Ronson and the second is Betten. The final serial for the season is Revenge of the Cybermen. So this one scored a 3 overall. So it is the worst episode of the season, but I still think it was okay. It just wasn't as strong as the other episodes of the season. My main issue is the Cybermen themselves, because Cybermen, their whole reason for existing is the survival of their species through augmentation and cybernetics. So when they say in this serial that they're destined to rule the galaxy, it just doesn't work for me. That's never been a Cyberman thing. And I think that happens later on in maybe Flux. It's some point in New Who as well when they try and take over the galaxy. And I don't understand why that's their thing now, because they've always just been about survival. So it was weird. And also the Cybermen acted very human in this episode, not just in the fact that they clearly had emotion. Their whole mannerisms and their body movements were too human. They didn't look or feel like robots. In every other Cyberman serial, yes, they've moved about a bit human because they are humans in suits, but they still seemed more robotic. They sort of stood up straight and they moved robotically at times. Whereas in this serial, they were very much more fluid and human with it. It was weird to me. So my main issue is the Cybermen themselves in this serial. Also, I must mention, the Seal of Rassilon appears in this episode for the first time, but not as the Seal of Rassilon, and not even as a Time Lord thing. The 15th Doctor mentioned cultural appropriation with Sutekh and the Egyptians, but fuck that, okay? Time Lords culturally appropriate everything. The Seal of Rassilon came from Vogan first and was the Vogan symbol, and Time Lords, apparently this is canonical as well, the Time Lords stole that, and Rassilon was like, that's my seal now, bitches. Vogans had it first. The Doctor wants to talk about cultural appropriation, maybe you should look in the mirror first. But overall, the story was fine, just nothing special. So I think I'm going to put this one, I think I'm going to be generous and put it into upgrade in progress. Because I do think there was potential there. My main issue is the Cybermen, how they acted and their reason for being, not anything to do with the story itself other than that. So I think that there was potential, they just missed it. And the MVP for the serial is Tyram. That's the tier list for season 12 done. I mean, it looks like a pretty decent season, let's be honest. Everything's in the top 3 tiers, including one in UEU, so it does look pretty darn good, to be honest. Season stats. The most common score of the episodes was a 4, and the season average was a 4.05. So it was pretty darn good overall. The quote of the season comes from Genesis of the Daleks, and it's not the moral quandary quote that you might be expecting. It's actually a quote between the Doctor and Harry. It's just a very small conversation. And the Doctor says, "Come along," and Harry says, "Where are we going?" And the Doctor says, "Forward." And I cannot remember the context of that quote at all, but I noted it down and it just sounds quite inspirational if you take it completely out of the context. It just sounds inspirational, so I wanted that as the quote of the season. But that is it. That is season 12 tier listed, the 4th Doctor's first season. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think Genesis of the Daleks deserves to be in UEU, or do you think it should be in Fantastic? Do you think that Revenge of the Cybermen should be in the Skaro sewers? Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time for season 13.